PlayStation 4 is going to have fewer, bigger games released, while PlayStation 5 is coming up. Sony has finally announced, well, stated why they've kind of backed out of E3. We're going to get into all of that in this video. Ladies and gentlemen, MonkeyFlop here, and if you guys do enjoy these videos, make sure to hit a like and comment down below. Let me know what you guys honestly think. Maybe consider share this on social media as well. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. So, Sony is actually going to be focusing on bigger games and not as many titles. And we've seen this trend every time a new console cycle comes along. The current console kind of, suffers a little bit, but the fact that they're dedicating more effort into creating bigger games while the PlayStation 4 is on its way out is pretty awesome, to say the least. There's been a lot of rumor and speculation about the PlayStation 4 getting backwards compatibility, and while I think that would be completely awesome, I don't know if Sony's going to implement it for the PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4, considering the fact that they do sell a lot of those games online already or are available on PlayStation now. And it's not really cost effective for Sony to put backwards compatibility into their systems. I believe what the leak was for certain PlayStation 4 games to have backwards compatibility when PlayStation 5 releases. Especially with the trend that we get when PlayStation 3 launched, it had backwards compatibility, but not too many people used the backwards compatibility, so Sony took it out to make the Sony PlayStation 3 more cost effective, and then when PlayStation 4 got released, only certain PlayStation 3 games were able to cross over to PlayStation 4. So I'd love to know you guys' thoughts and opinions about that in the comment section below. Let's jump into why Sony and PlayStation backed out of the giant E3 show. And well, Sean Landon had this to say on CNET.com. We decided to take video games out of CES back in 1995 with the PlayStation 1 era. That was like so long ago. E3 served for retailers and journalists. Retailers would come in, you would see a guy come in, and he'd say, "I'm from Sears, and I handle Hot Wheels, Barbies, VHS, and video games. So what are you about?" There was a huge education component. Then you had journalists who had magazines and led time and jockeying for positions on covering. And there was no internet to speak of. So the trade show at the time of year for the industry was exactly what it needed to do. So, I mean, he basically spelled it out there for us. Back then, times were a lot different, and this E3 was the way that you showed off your new games. You showed off the new video game products to journalists and retailers alike. A lot of people were kind of clueless back in the day as to like what was going on with the gaming industry, and E3 was a great outlet for it. But the times are changing, and we have internet, and he even states that so retailers really drop off, and journalists now with the internet and the fact that 24/7 there is gaming news. MonkeyFlop, yes, he mentioned me in this art. No, he didn't mention me, but I know you watch my videos. I'm kidding, but maybe he does. Lost impact around that. So the trade show became a trade show without a lot of trade activity. That world has changed, but E3 necessarily hasn't changed with it. And with our direction to do fewer games, bigger games over long periods of time, we got to a point where June of 2019 was not time for us to have a new thing to say. And we feel like we ring the bell and people will show up here in force. People have expectations. Oh, they're going to tell us something. That is so true. Like, how many times has there been an E3? At least the past 2 years, there has been an E3, and we go with like full expectations. What does Sony have for us? And they have the same thing. They have the same trailers. They have the same gameplay with a few new added things. But I mean, he really understands, which is awesome, by the way, that he understands, the full concept of everything. Like, where we sit, okay? Because, like, you put it into perspective, they're over there at Sony corporate, and they might see things, in my point of view, they might see things a little bit differently than how me and you sit over here. But it's pretty cool that they fully understand, what's going on. Now, Sony pulling out of PlayStation, pulling out of E3, that is a complete and total bummer. Honestly, PlayStation has been a staple to E3 since the beginning, almost the beginning of E3, and it's never missed a beat. And 2019, we will definitely miss PlayStation's presence at E3. I'm really excited to see where PlayStation goes in the future. I am hoping that E3 adapts to, what a lot of the industry is trying to tell it. E3 has been an awesome trade show, and ever since I was growing up, I've always wanted to go to E3. It was always like a big dream of mine to go to E3, and in the fact that it's kind of crazy that my favorite company is pulling out of E3. It kind of gets me in the feels. I'd love to know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. But I mean, you can't blame PlayStation for E3's mistakes. My hope is that E3 learns and adapts a little bit better to the new way of the video games industry, to be completely honest with you guys. Sony and PlayStation, they are adapting. They're trying to go with the flow in the way that, things are progressing online with digital media and everything in between. And honestly, like, E3 needs to do a better job of adapting before all of these other companies start backing out. We're already starting to see a lot of companies back out, but can you imagine if Microsoft backs out and the next Nintendo backs out of E3? What is going to happen to the trade show? Hopefully, with this year, we start to see something a little bit different. I know that they opened it up to the public because they were having a hard time, with the show in general. And I think that's one step in the right direction. But at the same time, you need to be able to have things flow a little bit better. There was just complete chaos because the people that paid money to get into E3 had to wait several hours to play a demo of a game. The same thing goes for all of the gaming journalists and the retailers that are trying to look at the new products that are coming out. So hopefully E3 manages better with the way the showroom floor flows, and also hopefully E3 kind of adapts to this new era of video games. There has been, a lot of different things coming out of the games industry, and the fact that, Sony is actually trying to take a step back and focus more on, the fans and what we love is pretty awesome. I hope they do have a PlayStation experience in 2019. I honestly do. And I'd love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions about that in the comment section below. What do you guys think about Sony backing out of E3? What do you guys think about backwards compatibility with PlayStation 5 to the PlayStation 4? Do you guys think that it's going to have full backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 4? Do you guys think it's going to have full backwards compatibility with what some people are rumoring, PS1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth? I'd love to know in those comments down below. Honestly, it would be pretty cool if PlayStation 4 games were backwards compatible with the PlayStation 5. Honestly, that's one thing that I think we do need. Hopefully, it's not just like what we saw with the PlayStation 4 when it first got released. Because if you guys remember back in the day when the PlayStation 4 first got released, there were only some games that were backwards compatible with, in the sense of that you can upgrade. Sony gave us the option in the very beginning of the PlayStation 4 days. I remember with some of the new titles that dropped, like Call of Duty, like if you bought it on the PlayStation 3, you could pay like $5 extra and upgrade it to the PlayStation 4. So hopefully they don't do that again, because I don't want to have to repay for some of my games. Hopefully it is indeed backwards compatible with the PlayStation 4. But I'd love to know you guys' thoughts and opinions about this in the comment section below. If you would take 2 seconds out of your day, hit a like. That really helps me out. If you guys haven't already subscribed, that would be awesome as well. And I will see you guys in the next news update. You guys are freaking awesome.